dünya ve Türkiye'nin dört bir yanından katılan enerji profesyonelleri, enerji sektörünün değerli temsilcileri. Türkiye'nin en büyük dijital enerji etkinliği DEF 22 devam ediyor. Panelistlerimize teşekkür ediyoruz. Bundan sonra da Almanya'ya uzanıyoruz. Konuşmacımız Almanya'dan bağlanacak. Leo Hill, Green Singularity Managing Direktörü. Enerjide dijital ikiz ve blockchain'den bahsedecek. Ben sizlerle baş başa bırakıyorum kendisini.
Berlin'den günaydın. Thank you very much for the invitation to this conference and for having us participate. As said in the introduction, my name is Leo Hille. I am Managing Director of Grid Singularity. We are a company based in Berlin and Lisbon in Portugal with around 40 people, and we work on bringing Web3, decentralization and blockchain technology into the energy markets. And today I want to tell you quickly how we did this and what our work is or was in the last few months and years, and then walk with you through a new concept that we are currently developing and building to actively enable decentralized local energy markets and energy communities with our tool set that we can provide to make the prosumer the center of the energy market of the future. As mentioned, we started a couple of years ago after initiating and founding the Energy Web Foundation together with the Rocky Mountain Institute to work on building and operating advanced local exchanges that let your household's energy assets trade directly with each other on the market. So your home with your PV system, your energy, your electric vehicle, or your storage or battery becomes an energy trader in an inclusive and fair market that is unlocking the economic benefits as well as social and environmental benefits for prosumers in the household. So from the centralized energy exchanges in Central Europe, APEX or EAX, for example, reverse engineering this to a bottom-up market approach where single households can trade peer-to-peer their energy with each other. And all of that in a grid-aware manner so that the local markets are actually supporting the distribution system by providing flexibility and balancing and other grid services to the distribution system operator. And our markets powered by trading agents and AI, of course, give a high level of freedom to single prosumers participating, because as a prosumer, you can set different preferences in trading on your own market, like preferred trading partners you want to trade with, be it your neighbors, your family, your parents, or someone you're close with, where you want to donate energy or give energy for free. Or, of course, define your preferences or choices in terms of sustainability against price, as an example. So how much is it worth for you to only trade green electricity, to only buy from one specific power plant that is out there in the market? Or are you economically driven and only want to buy the cheapest energy that you can get in the market? So all of this as a little introduction. So we have a local energy exchange up and running that is fully functional, that is providing the interfaces and APIs to the DSOs as well as aggregators to connect behind the meter assets, and enables local energy communities in any market in the world where single assets based on trading algorithms can place bids and offers in the market. And this is a very advanced concept also compared to today's regulation in most of the markets, obviously, so that we are currently working on a lot of different pilot projects and proof of concepts that are applicable within today's regulation to show what is possible and what benefits you have by trading locally. So if you're interested in local energy exchanges and local energy communities and markets and empowering prosumers, please feel welcome to reach out to me, and I'm happy to discuss any potential potential business opportunities we might have together. What I want to talk with you about, though, mostly is a new concept that is our social community manager that I want to run through with you in our current prototype that is being developed. Because what we see in the market today is that regulation is slowly moving towards empowering consumers and prosumers, as well as enabling local markets and giving actual financial benefits to trading locally. Like in Austria, for example, we could see with the Renewable Energy Sources Act passed end of last year. And we see that the development only moves slowly. And the main challenge today is actually how to manage the community participants, how to set up your community, and how to engage with your customers locally and give them the access that you have. And all of these challenges are covered by our social community manager concept that I want to share with you, which allows you to not only run the exchange, but actually create, deploy, and manage your community in a way that you can set up and build a digital twin of your community in our interactive tool Fast, where you can configure your households with the assets that you have, the load profiles based on actual or historical data of those assets, and start modeling your own energy community, like it was done in the hackathon hosted by Photon as part of this conference as well. Additionally, you can manage your community and all community members easily within that tool. That gives you all the functionalities at hand to invite customers, communicate with customers, and also gives a place for your community members to actually engage with each other. And last but not least, have the modular exchange I talked about with different market mechanisms and different price mechanisms that are integrated, like a bottom-up pricing scheme where bids and offers are placed in the market until you find a market clearing price in different market modes that are already integrated and possible towards fixed sharing coefficients that you have in collective self-consumption schemes in many European countries and beyond in place today. And last but not least, of course, generate the automated bill for billing at the end of the month or in any time frame that is relevant for you to run invoices with your customers in their app and the application, as well as on paper. And how does this look like? For this, we just going to start setting up and building a community. And as said, I'm based in Berlin, in Kreuzberg. I'm in the center of Berlin. Many of you might know. So I'm jumping into Kreuzberg to the office I'm sitting in right now. I can define my community name, add a community description, choose the time zone and some minor basic settings, and then start setting up my community. I, of course, sign in with my credentials. And then I have two options. One is I can build a community manually by using the singularity map you can find today already at map.gridsingularity.com to build house by house and asset by asset my own community and set this up. Or for the B2B purpose, where you don't want to go through that process, upload a community sheet, a CSV or Excel file, where you have all information on your participating households, the participating assets, and anything else in that sheet, and you upload it with one click, basically. That is then processed in the back end. And as you can see, my community, or the digital twin of my community, is created. Every dot here symbolizes one household, and every household then has a set of different assets in the household. that I can start looking into. So for example, I look into Lee Böhm's house here. I can see it's a home with 3 assets. I have a PV system, I have a battery, and I have a load. I can look into the assets here and then go into the advanced settings and see, for example, what trading preferences I have. As said at the beginning in the intro, from Lee's perspective, I can see Lee has preferred trading partners he wants to trade with, maybe his friends or family. He has a preferred energy source with a PV system, and he prioritizes value over sustainability by a bit. So you have the opportunity to manage every single household here, have an overview of all community assets, for example, that you have in your community, go into detail of any of these. And once you have set this up, you know that you have all the community members there. You know you have everything together to run your community. You can send invitations to your community members. And they will get an invitation by mail that then allows them to join their user view of that management tool, basically. So they can sign in from the user view and land on a dashboard where they can't see all the assets of every single household, but they can see their community members, their own assets, as well as their own home, and only results and billing results that are directly relevant for them in the end. And with this, it gives you the two-sided opportunity to set up and run the community and interact with your community members. So we are inviting all the community members again from the community manager view, and then I have all of them invited. I can see my notifications popping up that my community members are accepting the invitation and just registering and claiming their homes. And then I can start in setting up a few more advanced settings. So for example, in this case, I'm running a community in Austria or in Germany where I don't have bottom-up pricing mechanisms yet. So I'm sharing the fixed coefficients so that produced electricity is shared between all community members based on this fixed coefficient. I can define this coefficient here, see who gets what share, and add additionally fixed energy bill components or charges that I have in the market to make sure the prices and overall energy bill they see in their interface reflects their actual bill and actual energy prices in your local country or regulatory framework. And then I can, of course, also define the grid market settings. And the grid market in this case is the market or is the utility or energy provider that each of the households have outside of the community, meaning that they can either trade within their community members between each other, but that of course is limited to a specific share of the electricity needs, because most on this level we mostly have PV systems, for example, electricity at night, so that they can either buy from the community or from their energy service provider at the same time for a fixed price in the end. So once you went through all the settings, you can save the changes and go to the next step where you, as the community enabler, have your community view as well. But of course, or your community dashboard, sorry. But of course, you have way more rights to see all the community setup and members. So, for example, you have an overview of all community members that are part of your community, with a slick overview of what assets they have, how many loads, what batteries. You have an overview of all the assets that are part of your community, that are signed up and registered. And then you have the option for the social component behind local energy markets, because the true value of the communities comes when they are locally based behind the same transformer, for example, the distribution grid, so that they can produce and consume energy locally, but also provide, as mentioned at the beginning, grid services to their local DSO. And by saying that, that also enables, of course, the social component, because you might know your neighbors, you have common interests, you have the same sports club, or other same interests. So you have the option to chat or have a messenger for bilateral discussions and interactions with your community members. So from the overall dashboard and from your community being set up for now, you can jump to the next step. That is running a simulation with your community members and your assets you have, based on the settings for the community that are fitting the local requirements and local regulation that you have in the market. So you run a simulation and you get results for that simulation. So you see how much the community can save in the period of 1 week now. The simulation was run for a week. You can see the self-sufficiency rate within the community and a lot of other KPIs and trading profiles and prices and price matching that is done within the community. And also see, for example, what price do you have on average in the community, as well as what higher price would you have when buying from the service provider directly. Then there's the concept of the marketplace and optimization that is still in the making, that is not existing yet, where you can, for example, have third parties like Rebase we're working with, provide advanced community optimizers or better trading algorithms and offer them on the marketplace, so that you can, for example, improve community trading or improve the trading against different KPI. Because for one community, it can be most relevant to have the cheapest prices. For another community, it could be more relevant to have the highest rate of self-sufficiency, for example, or the highest level of flexibilities available in the market to provide to the DSO if there is a high distribution of renewable energy sources, for example, in the market. So that would allow you to, for example, try to use the Rebase algorithm, run another simulation with that algorithm, see if it works better, and if it does, then connect with Rebase and basically buy their algorithm in the end. So for now, we see we're happy with the simulation, we're happy with the results. So we want to go the next step. We want to actually deploy the market and provide these services I mentioned to our local community members. And then I would go to the next step for deploying my community. And this has a little barrier in there because we need to have all the paperwork done, the legal paperwork done to go into the deployment of a community with our platform and the community enabler that is working in the different countries. So we provide the enabler with a code that he can fill in and then jump to the next step. He again gets an overview of his confirmed community members, sees who already registered, and can go through basically the process of re-inviting if necessary, if not everyone is on board yet. Then there's a few checkup questions that are relevant and need to be fulfilled before running your simulation. That is either a smart meter, that is the base case or the happy path scenario, so to say, or it can be, of course, also existing APIs to hardware that in today's markets, as smart meters are scarce in a lot of countries, are a common way to go directly via the asset API of a storage system or the inverter of a PV system to access 15-minute data or second data of the different assets in the households. If you confirm the data availability, you can basically drop the legal entity registration files in here that you have to do with the DSO. And then we are, as you can see on the bar at the top here, very close to finally operating the market. You upload the DSO approval because for many countries, like in Austria, again, as an example, you need to get confirmation from the DSO that all the participating community members are part of the same grid cell, of the same or behind the same transformer in the market. And additionally, you need to check for the incentives or sharing schemes that you have in place. May it be reduced grid fees if you trade locally, may it be other incentives that you have that will be distributed to your local community members after trading was done. Then, last but not least, the API validation and connection to our backend. I mentioned at the beginning that both APIs are up and running. One for the DSO, where the DSO can feed in flexible grid fees on 15-minute basis into our market. And on the other hand, the API for the so-called aggregator to connect the assets with our marketplace. So we add the API keys, we do a technical checkup in the back end, and once this is done, you can actually deploy your community and start running the community locally with your households that you have in the market. And from my community enabler perspective, I then see that this is a live running community. I see my overall, or I see the overview of my community with key results of the last days, or in this case, today now. Energy bills and net energy traded. So who's trading with whom for what price? What is the total amount of revenue of maybe higher costs that you might have? And a lot of other, as said again, a lot of other insights and KPIs that you can work with. And yeah, this enables you from the enabler view to keep the overview, to make sure your community members see their own households results because of data privacy, of course, only their results as set. And you are enabled to do a monthly bill run, for example, based on the trading data that you have inside your market place. Yeah, that is the community manager concept that we're currently focusing on and working on with. We are in the status where we are in different markets trying this out in the first community projects, where communities in different setups are being deployed with this tool so that we can test how high is the interest today and the market development. I mentioned Austria a couple of times. We see a strong movement there, but the same in Spain or Portugal and France. We had a project in Turkey a couple of years ago. But we can see a strong move within Europe, but also in other countries, like Colombia, for example, where we deployed a project with a partner, with a local aggregator, that there's a strong move towards, of course, leveraging flexibility and congestion in the distribution grid, as there's new challenges on the distribution grid level since the high density of decentralized energy resources coming into play. And from our perspective, we see that it's a challenge that becomes bigger and bigger to integrate all of these assets, and a challenge that we should tackle now, because it is a huge potential as well, of course, to, while distribution moves more and more to the distribution, generation, moves more and more to the distribution grid and to a bottom-up market, that we see the earlier we start to actively integrate the assets into the market and give them the intelligence and the flexibility based on trading algorithms and artificial intelligence to actively support the local market, the better for the high density of decentralized energy resources that we have in the market for us. Last but not least, of course, there is also the option of a household that is not invited by an aggregator or not invited by someone who's setting up a community, but a household or a person that hears about energy communities and wants to participate and wants to be part of an energy community. And that is this scenario you can see right now. Basically, me as a private person, I want to join an energy community, and I am interested to see, is there anything in my neighborhood that I'm able to join? So I basically can come to this map of Berlin and can see, okay, there's a handful of communities, a good handful, and I'm in Kreuzberg, so maybe the Kreuzberg community with 20 members could be something for me where I could benefit from joining that community. I see a view where I don't see private information on consumption or loads and households, of course, but I can see a little overview of how does this community look like and ask to join in the end. And then the community enabler will get a notification asking the community enabler if you want to allow this person access. And once this is approved, I can join from this side the community as well, see the community members, the different participants, and start setting up my own house by adding my assets. So typing in my address, adding my own assets at my location, and then, excuse me, and then starting to join this community as well from a prosumer perspective that is actively searching for an energy community that this person can join. And by setting up my house, or after setting up my house, I can then see how me participating in the community would benefit me. So I can see, okay, I can save a few euros a day. I can actually share my produced electricity with peers in the community. So basically, this is the numbers I would get when joining the community, and they are beneficial for me as a prosumer. And then I have the chance to talk to my community enabler and talk to him and see if I can actually become part of the community. And again, once he approves, then I am joining that community. So as we're approaching the end of my speaking time, maybe that much on our work, on our vision of the future energy market. As said, at Grid Singularity, we try to bring Web3 technology and decentralization to the energy space with all the capabilities that we have from funding Energy Web and other work in that space. And we're very interested to, of course, talk to local municipalities as well as energy companies, service providers to join the vision of decentralized energy markets and flexibility leveraged by market mechanisms that can support the ongoing deployment of decentralized energy resources and support the grid and the energy market of the future. So whenever you have questions or interested to reaching out, please do so. You can find me on LinkedIn or other platforms, and I'm very happy to discuss any cooperation or questions with you. So once again, thank you for the invitation. Thank you for your time, and have a great conference the next hours and the rest of the day. Thank you.